Hi, welcome to Knowing Your Rights in the Workplace. You're going to need to make sure you have something to write with and a paper to take notes. There's a lot of information in here, and when you've completed the presentation, you'll be given assignments and a quiz. Employment law. Did you or someone you know have issues at a job before? Did any workers or management or someone else do anything about that problem? There's many issues that you can face in the workplace. Some are more serious than others, but knowing your rights is going to help you know how to handle your problems effectively or your issues effectively and correctly. So let's look at what labor laws and employment laws and what your rights are under them and also your responsibilities. Employment law is complicated and misunderstood, and this module is meant to provide basic information regarding rights and responsibilities and explain what employees have the right to expect in the workplace. We will be talking about the problems you've had at work and protections that exist to help you with some of those problems. There's 9 labor laws identified by the United States Department of Labor, and they can be found at usa.gov. We're going to discuss them as we go along. Discrimination and harassment at your job. Discrimination is the unfair hiring practice or treatment of someone based on race, color, religion, sex, including pregnancy, national origin, age, disability, or genetic, personal, or family medical history information. Harassment is unwelcome conduct that is based on race, color, religion, sex, including pregnancy, national origin, age, disability, or genetic information. Harassment becomes illegal when the offensive conduct continues and becomes a condition of employment or is severe enough to create an environment that is intimidating, hostile, or abusive. Local, state, or federal government agencies and private employers may perform background checks when they hire an employee. This is one of their rights. The Family and Medical Leave Act is a federal labor law that allows an eligible employee to take up to 12 work weeks of absence from work due to illness or to care for a sick family member. The leave is guaranteed by the FMLA and is unpaid and is available to those working for employers with 50 employees or more. Public agencies, including schools, have to comply with the FMLA no matter the number of employees. You, as an employee, must comply with the guidelines and provide proper documentation to be approved. During this COVID issue, there is protections under FMLA for sick leave and family sick leave specific to COVID. Labor unions or trade unions are an organization of workers that bargains with employers on behalf of union members and negotiates the labor contracts. Elected union leaders negotiate specific items of employment, including pay and benefits, complaint procedures, hiring and firing guidelines, help with unfair labor practices. Union leaders negotiate with the union members and the employer, and these agreements are binding. Sometimes they're binding to other non-union workers. Labor unions can be found in the private sector, federal agencies, or at a state or local government place of employment. Minimum wage. The federal minimum wage is the minimum hourly pay for many workers. The minimum wage is currently $7.25 an hour for covered non-exempt employees, effective July 24th, 2009. Many states and cities also have minimum wage laws. You can contact your state labor office with questions regarding those minimum wage issues. The minimum wage varies from state to state. Currently in West Virginia, it's $8.75. There's a Fair Labor Standards Act that you can search on the internet and find out more about what all this covers. Overtime pay, excuse me. Overtime pay is an employer is required to permit, well, they may require or permit a worker to work overtime. The Fair Labor Standards Act requires that the workers who clock more than 40 hours per week receive overtime pay with few exceptions. Sometimes employers decide that if you work a minute over 8 hours, that's going to be your overtime. Some go on weekly hours, and that's 8 hours per day. You are entitled to a safe environment at work. You have certain rights in the workplace, especially ones that keep you safe. These include the right to be trained in a language that you understand, be provided with the necessary safety equipment, report injury or illness, and voice your concern over unsafe working conditions without fear of retaliation. In order to improve the safety in the workplace, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, known as OSHA, updated its existing rules regarding how employers must report injury or illness in the workplace. As of January 1st, 2017, certain employers are required to electronically submit injury or illness data. Doing this allows OSHA to improve enforcement of the workplace safety requirements and provide valuable information online for workers, job seekers, customers, and the general public. The new rule also prohibits employers from discouraging their workers from reporting an injury or illness. Several different federal government agencies handle questions and or complaints about workplace issues. It's depending on the nature. For mining, you contact the Mine Safety and Health Administration. For trucking, interstate trucking, there's an online complaint form, or you can call the Department of Transportation. If you have a complaint about safety issues occurring inside a trucking building or facility, there are a variety of other ways for workers to file a complaint, and it's usually with the OSHA. Aviation, you contact the Federal Aviation Administration. Most other industries also fall under OSHA, or the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Workers' compensation laws ensure that employees who are injured or disabled on the job receive fixed incomes. They provide benefits for dependents of workers who died due to work-related accidents or illnesses, and they protect employers and fellow workers by limiting the amount of an injured employee can recover from an employer and by removing the co-worker's liability in most accidents. Wrongful discharge or termination of employment. Wrongful termination or wrongful discharge laws vary from state to state, and some states are employment at will states, which means that if there is no employment contract or collective bargaining agreement, an employer can let an employee go for any reason or for no reason, with or without notice, as long as the discharge does not violate a law. West Virginia is an employment at will state. Also, if you're fired, you will receive your paycheck on the next pay date of the pay cycle. Your employer is not obligated to give it to you sooner. You cannot rely on the First Amendment to protect your rights to post comments about your employer on social media like Facebook, Twitter, or blogs. You do not have a right to talk about your employer in a negative light based on something that happened. Youth labor laws. These are established for 18 and under people. These are the ones that usually are high school students. And They want to get a job. They're designed to protect these youth from unsafe and inappropriate work experiences and to ensure that their job doesn't interfere with their schooling. They establish what types of work you're allowed to perform, when you're allowed to work, how many hours per week you're allowed to work, and how much you should be paid. When an employer is beginning to think about hiring you, there are several things they have the right to look at or have you do. These are just a few of them. There's more information on this at the USA.gov website. Please be aware. They can check your credit report. They can check your social media. What you put on your social media can get you a job or lose you a job. So let's review some of the information we've talked about and bring out some important facts about your rights and responsibilities. If you're injured on the job, you're entitled to get the workers' compensation. OSHA is who enforces workplace safety. If you write an email from work using a work computer or even on your phone and you send an email, you're doing it from work. It's no longer private. Family medical leave can be taken to recuperate from serious health conditions or to care for a sick family member. A private employer must have 50 employees to make the Family Medical Leave Act available to their employees. Discrimination and harassment. Sexual discrimination is when men and women are treated differently in the workplace. It can be pay or what job they get. And the Equal Opportunity Commission regulates this discrimination. There's 180 days to file about the discrimination or harassment from the date of the incident. Sexual harassment is an unwelcome advance request or other verbal or physical contact. There's two types of sexual harassment. There's quid pro quo, which is you do this for me, I'll do this for you. And there's hostile workplace. Hostile workplace is when they make you feel uncomfortable or retaliate because you haven't given in to their advances. The very first step to stopping harassment is to tell the harasser to stop. You must do this. Losing or leaving a job. If employers with over 100 employees are going to have a massive layoff or closing, they've got to give their employees 60 days. Excuse me. Again, the First Amendment does not protect your rights to comment about your employer on any social media, Facebook, Twitter, any of it. If you quit a job to qualify for unemployment benefits, you have to have a good cause reason, not just because you didn't like your boss. Health reasons, mental health reasons, something that you can prove is a good cause. Again, not just because you're mad at your boss or somebody treated you badly. If you work six consecutive hours in one shift, your employer is required to provide you with a 20-minute break. So, what's next? Like I said, there's a lot of information. On some of it, we may not have even covered, but I've told you about it being on websites, which are listed in the slides if you go back. So you need to complete your assignments, review what you've learned, make sure your notes are complete, and then complete the quiz. If you have any questions regarding this material, please get a hold of your instructor because it's a lot of information and it's a lot of important information.